Every shot in Cuphead is very different. This can be seen when you compare weapons like the Lobber to the Converge to the Charge. They are all different. One weapon that I think is the most unique and different is the Chaser Shot. It deals the lowest damage in the game per shot, but the upside is that it has insane homing powers, to the point where it will almost never miss the boss. In my ongoing quest to obtain 300% in Cuphead, only using one weapon, this was one that I was very excited for. But now it's time to see, can you 300% Cuphead using only the Chaser? Rules first. The only way I can deal damage is with the Chaser Shot, or its EX. This means no supers or damage dealing charms. On top of that, to make it more difficult on myself, we're also going to do no charms in general. I must beat every single boss on expert mode, including the DLC, and that should be everything. Please enjoy and like and subscribe. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, where I have a very cool video planned. For this challenge, we first must get the tutorial coin and then go talk to Mac the Apple, who has 3 coins for us. Now that we have 4 coins, we head over to Porkrind's Emporium and buy the Chaser Shot. So after that, we do the glitch to get into expert mode early, and we can finally start the challenge. But not before making a cheeky deal with you guys. If this entire series gets a combined 1,000 likes, so across the 9 episodes, if they get a combined 1,000 likes, I will 300% Cuphead with the whetstone, which is technically a weapon. So, you heard it from past me. If these 9 videos that I am making about 300% in Cuphead with one shot get a combined 1,000 likes in this series, I will do a special 10th episode where I obtain 300% in Cuphead with only the whetstone, and I really don't want to do that. But now it is time for the real challenge to start. We start in the root pack, where the Chaser doesn't exactly shine. It's clear that our damage is lower than normal, and there's just no need for the homing here. It was nice in the final phase against the carrot because it could take out the mini carrots that he sent out, but other than that, it just really isn't that special. Rabian Croaks is a little bit similar to the root pack, as the low damage sucks, but it's a very nice convenience to be able to take down the fireflies in the first phase. In the third phase, the Chaser is a little bit better than other weapons, as when I need to turn away to dodge something, the Chaser can still boomerang behind me and hit the boss to deal consistent damage, which is actually pretty nice. Over at Goopy Legrand, it's really nice to have the Chaser here, because he bounces and moves around so much in every phase, and having a weapon that can just lock onto him is awesome. Now, there's definitely better weapons to use here, but it's pretty nice. And in the third phase, when he's sliding back and forth really fast, the Chaser does really shine. Cagney Carnation is made harder and easier by the Chaser. The lower damage output is terrible, as just being on this boss for longer makes it harder, as every phase is difficult. I found it the worst on the first phase when the constant seeds fell and I was just stuck for so long here. But the upside, whenever the seedlings would come at me, the Chaser can easily take them out. Or I can use the Chaser EX to fully encase myself in Chaser rounds to get rid of the seedlings. Second and third phase are both the same, where the lower damage sucks and you really don't need to take advantage of the homing. I use 2 EXs because once I shoot the second one, the bullets flying around me will stop protecting me and instead go hit the boss. Varanus Bonbon is really nice to have the Chaser for. A lot of her minions will move around a lot, so having the Chaser to lock on is great for the waffle, cupcake, gumball machine, etc. The final phase is also really nice to have a homing shot for, because as I focus on avoiding the heads flying at me, I am consistently dealing damage to the boss. Once I go to Beppy the Clown, we see a downside of the Chaser. While the homing isn't necessary on the first phase, it actually drags me down more than anything, because whenever I try to parry a duck, the Chaser already has a hit robbing me of a full EX card. And this is kind of the same in the second phase with the balloon dogs. Whenever I go to parry, unless I stop shooting, I'm at risk of accidentally popping the balloon dogs and losing out on another parry. The third phase isn't too bad. It's nice when I have to stay away from the boss because I can still deal damage, but the final phase doesn't change much aside from the fact that it just takes longer to beat. Grim Matchstick, shockingly, is a slight roadblock. Like normal, the first and the second phase aren't that bad. It's almost nice to have the Chaser because I can just focus on dodging and not really worry about aiming. But like normal, the third phase brings in the difficulty. Because when Grim would shoot his little fireballs and I would shoot the lobber, because when Grim would shoot his little fireballs and I would shoot the Chaser, they would just lock onto them and pop them, which would either give me hit or cut it really close. The strategy came down to only shooting when Grim does the flamethrower attack, just so I can avoid this risk. And after a insanely long and boring fight, we almost beat him. This hurt me. But we did beat him for real eventually. Rumor, luckily, is a boss where the Chaser is half decent. It'll lock onto the Worker B minions and stay damaging the Officer B for all of the first phase. While the Chaser isn't exactly essential in the second phase, it is nice to be able to look away and move around from the boss and still deal solid damage. We use her phase transition animation to deal a bunch of extra damage so she's weaker in the third phase, but we don't even need this because the Chaser is actually really good in the third phase. Similar to the second, it's super nice not to have to worry about aiming and just dealing consistent damage. Now, yes, the best weapon for this phase is the Lobber, but Chasers are close second. My good buddy Brinybeard is up next, and the Chaser is decent here at best. Since Brinybeard is always above you, it can be annoying to angle other shots in order to hit him. But again, there's no need to worry about that with the Chaser. We can stand anywhere and still be able to hit him. And the same stays true on the last phase. I can focus on avoiding the barrel and fireballs instead of lining up my shots to have an easy takedown. Sally's stage play is up next, and the Chaser is I mean, the first phase, the low damage is just atrocious. Not that it's a hard phase, but spending a long time on any phase will cause you to get hit eventually. The second phase has essentially the same problem as the first phase, except it's actually a difficult phase. So having low damage means I'm getting hit here or even dying. This caused me to use a lot of EXs here just to get me through it quicker. The third phase has never changed in these challenges. The only thing I could say about it is that if you don't lock on to the meteor immediately, the Chaser's low damage will make it really difficult to pop before that wave comes. The reason I said that the Chaser is on this boss, instead of outright saying that it's bad, is because of the final phase. When Sally is flying left and right, this can be really difficult to hit the boss, so having the Chaser to constantly hit him, it is just so nice. Worman is insanely easy, and let me ask you a question. When have you fought against Worman and said, man, I wish I had a homing weapon right now? Exactly. You haven't. Look at this boss and tell me what phase do you want a homing weapon over anything else on? You don't. The boss is always a straight line away. It's easy. The only nice part about the Chaser is when I jump in the boss's hitbox to spam EXs, but you can do that with literally any weapon. So long story short, Chaser is useless here. Phantom Express is another consistent roadblock, and it isn't overly difficult here. It's more long than difficult. Like, look at the first phase. Notice how the Chaser locks onto the eyes and the pumpkins up top. This is really nice because it allows me to just not have to worry about aiming or dodging. But because the Chaser is juggling these two things to damage, that means that there isn't a whole lot of room to squeeze in a third thing to damage. That third thing being the boss. And that means that our damage output to the boss is very low. So we're stuck on the first phase for a good bit. The second phase, it isn't overly bad because no matter where the cart is, I can still hit the boss. The third phase is also similar to this. I don't have to worry about getting in the boss's face. I can just stay away and slowly whittle it down. The final phase has the same issue that every other phase has in this boss, in that it's just not easy to hit the hitbox. But with the Chaser constantly locking on, it just removes the fact that it might be hard to hit the boss. And I can say with confidence that on the Phantom Express, the Chaser is the best weapon for this boss. King Dice ends as it always does, easy eliminations on Mr. Wheezy, Hoppus Pocus, and Pirouetta, and then we finish him off. Finally, it's time for the Devil. In only an hour and a half too. Pretty good time. But the first phase isn't special. Similar to Werner, I wouldn't want to be using the Chaser here because there's no need. There's only time I like the Chaser is when he does his spider attack, because since he's moving around so much, it's nice to stay locked on at all times. Once we beat the first phase, all remaining phases have a massive hitbox. So again, there's just no need for the Chaser. He has two massive eyes that I can hit. The third phase does have slight incentive to use the Chaser because it can handle the bats that he summons, which is normally what I find the most difficult about the Devil, but once I'm on the final phase, it's GG's. Starting the DLC off strong with Glumstone Giant, where the Chaser is just beautiful. Just look at it. First phase, yeah, at first glance, you might not think it's that good, just because the boss has such a big hitbox, but when you actually play the boss, you notice that the Chaser has also killed all of the annoying ass little minions that he spawns, which saves me a terrible headache. The second phase is similar, where there is extremely annoying, terrible, awful, foul, ugly, stupid, and unbearable minions at the boss spawns. But the Chaser can handle all of that, as whenever they get close and almost land on me, the Chaser will just immediately kill them. And whenever they aren't about to land on me, the Chaser can hit the boss. It's just a perfect balance. The only thing I actually need to look out for is the bouncing ball going back and forth, which yes is difficult, but when it's all you need to worry about, it really isn't that bad. The final phase is kind of like the inverse of the first phase, where it's still made very easy by the chaser because it's constantly locks onto the boss to deal damage. The reason why I say it's the inverse of the first phase is because there's no minions to worry about. It's simply just the boss, which makes it super easy. Moving on to King Dice. No? Moving on to Ice King, the chaser does work in the first phase. The constant movement of the boss can make it really hard for a regular shot to damage the boss, but with the chaser, it makes it easy. The second phase is still pretty difficult. We all know that. It's just hard in general. With the fast movements, quick attacks, and popsicles raining down, it's a lot to manage. But what if I told you we can take away one of those aspects? The chaser can automatically destroy any popsicles that start to come down at me, which makes this way easier. The final phase, similar to the second phase, is just insanely hard, except the chaser does nothing to make it easier. The chaser actually makes it harder because yes, I no longer need to worry about the aiming, but you've never needed to aim on this phase. The hitbox takes up 1/2 of the whole screen, so it's just not enough of a perk for the low damage trade-off. This caused me to get destroyed here, and I spent way too much time on this phase, but I was so glad when it was finally over. Howling Aces. I'd say that the chaser definitely isn't bad here, but I don't know if it's good. The upside of the chaser is that in every phase, this boss is really annoying to hit. He's constantly above me or moving around to deal an attack, so the lock-on is very nice. The second phase is just basic. The only thing that I had to look out for was not accidentally starting the secret phase. But overall, not terrible. The last phase is also not too bad. It's really nice to not have to worry about aiming in this phase, but we still use the head tilt method just to be safe. Can I be honest with you guys for a second? I have really grown to hate the Moonshine Mob. Well, maybe not hate, but definitely dislike. I don't even know why I do. I just genuinely do not enjoy this boss fight. But anyways, here we go. The chaser is pretty good here. The boss moves around a lot and he spawns a lot of minions. So having the ability to hit him and still take care of his minions is really nice. The same goes for the second phase. This phase can be genuinely challenging if you don't have the right weapons and charms, and since I'm not allowed to use charms in this challenge, having the right weapon means a lot here. The third is pretty good with the chaser. You're able to hit his nose fairly consistently whenever he gets shot out, and yeah, you're doing very low damage, but you're still dealing damage nonetheless. And since the chaser can hold on so well, whenever it shoots out the dust sprites, they just get melted. And I guess the fourth phase exists, just not for long. Here we are at long last. We finally made it to Saltbaker, a roadblock in 80% of all the challenges that I do. But today is a little different, because as most of you know, any lock-on weapon is insanely good on Saltbaker. Saltbaker has annoying hitboxes in literally every single phase, so having the ability to lock on is crazy good. Another nice thing about the chaser is that it makes the animal cracker attack just fully countered. The second phase is a joke. All I need to do is avoid the sneezes and fireballs, and the chaser will just constantly be damaging a pepper cracker, no matter what direction I'm facing. In the third phase, as long as I can avoid the initial fall, I'm completely safe. Not even the final phase presents a challenge. All I need to do is just keep my brain on and avoid him. The chaser just does all the work. And with that, the final knockout, we have officially 300%ed Cuphead, only using the chaser. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed. Overall, I don't think that the chaser is as bad as a weapon as I considered it to be. I think it's a solid 6 out of 10. In its proper situation, it has potential to dominate, but you're not always in that situation. I want to take the time to tell you guys to please like and subscribe. You guys have no idea how much it helps me. And I also want to tell you that we finally have channel memberships. So if you're looking to support the channel, I strongly encourage you guys to press that join button right next to the subscribe button. And I have the price set to the lowest possible, so as many of you can enjoy the perks as possible. You'll get exclusive insight on videos, you'll get leaks on upcoming videos, along with many more perks. And you'll also just get more say of what happens with the channel. And on top of that, if you guys want me to, I can even start making some bigger member exclusive videos just to make you guys feel a little bit more special. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.